All right, you should hear us now, and this is going to be amazing. Hi, thank you all for joining us. My name is Kenny, and welcome to Puntimes. And today we are going to be doing our session 0 of a game called Slasher. It is a Fate Core based game that is published by Higher Grounds Publishing. They were kind enough to reach out to ExQueeriencePoints and say, hey, we want to potentially have you guys try a game, have you all try a game. And so we're like, yeah, cool, let's look at what you have. And they had Slasher, and I was like, yeah, let's do some murder, let's do some horror, because it's so much different than our Starfinder campaign and our Numenera campaign. With me today are some amazing individuals. Why don't we start at the top left of the screen with Miyu.
Hi, I'm Miyu. I use pronouns they, them. And I'm going to be playing Sean Malarkey.
Sweet.
I love that last name.
Sean Malarkey. Yeah, Sean Malarkey is the stoner in the group. It has been interesting creating a character basically with the express purpose of them getting killed.
Fair enough, yeah. When you know that your character is going to die, I'm sure making decisions will be a lot less like, should I do this?
Fuck it, let's open that trapdoor and see what's underneath it. It'll be fine.
Just remember, we have to at least have one of us survive 6 episodes. Otherwise, it's going to be a whole lot of murderer all by themselves.
I don't see a problem with that.
Murder.
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out as we go. All right, so let's move along the top of the row. That would be Jess.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't looking at the Twitch page. I'm Jess. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be playing Willow, the murderer.
Ooh.
And her pronouns are also she, her.
Nice.
And she's a murderer.
She is a murderer. I am so excited about this character and what they can do. Cannot wait for all of that to be revealed, and the backstory and how everyone ties into this amazing, wonderful backstory. Oh, so good.
I'm excited too.
All right. Next is Callie.
Hi, I'm Callie. I go with she, her pronouns. I'm playing Tina Ratherson, the town horror movie buff. I run a fan club, and I'm an alpha bitch. And I'm excited to be an alpha bitch. It's going to be fun.
What does alpha bitch mean to you?
Oh, it means to me that I know everything that's best for everybody. And if they don't listen to me, they clearly are not looking out for their best interests, and I'll set them straight.
Nice. I cannot wait. Awesome. And then let's move down to the bottom and go back to the left and go with Steph.
Hi, I'm Steph. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be playing Harper Ellis. Her pronouns are also she, her. but she is a bit pronoun indifferent, which makes sense when you know that she is butch. So sometimes people mistake her for a man, as can happen. She doesn't really care. She won't correct somebody unless they're rude about it. So that's something to keep in mind. And she is a monster / death magnet. And I can't wait to talk more about how that comes into play.
Nice. Very nice. I really can't either. And we'll talk about backstories in a little bit, but your backstory is amazing. And then to my right, at the bottom right, is Kelrick.
Hello, I'm Kelrick. I use he, him pronouns. My character uses he, him pronouns. His name is Ian Hudson, and he is a technical pacifist. And as the game book says, you can't spell pacifist without fist.
So your character was a Broadway dancer, is still a Broadway dancer? Are we kind of leaving out of that?
That's just backstory stuff.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad that we still have some of that going, but I really do I really do enjoy the pacifist trope. I think that's going to be very interesting when it comes to those very tense situations.
It's going to be fun to work into the backstory as someone who's been kicked out of the Pink Panthers, so that's kind of exciting to me.
For the uneducated, do you want to expand on the Pink Panthers?
Oh, sure. The Pink Panthers is an LGBT group that basically says, you need to be prepared to fight back and keep yourself safe. And so, they do all different kinds of classes like self-defense. They do, how to handle a gun properly, those kinds of things. And then in larger cities where they have a decent number of people, they patrol the streets around LGBT hangouts to make sure that if someone is being harassed, that they are not alone and they can be protected.
Nice. And I am Kenny. My pronouns are he, him. I am playing the director. And that person is omniscient, godly, and has no pronouns. I work with the killer to make sure that they set up the scenes that they want to terrorize and try to make our survivors dead. And so Jess is going to be working with me a little bit in chat to kind of let me know when the killer pops up out of the ether or does one of their tricks to make something creepy happen and try to throw our survivors off guard. The book does make it a point to say that the player characters are survivors. They are not victims. They are not dead yet, and they may not die. But we'll see. So the setting that we are playing in is in a city called Soufra Shores. It is a Pacific Northwest coastal town that is very small. It is a kind of a vacation getaway setting, max population of like 1,000 people, lots of B&Bs, small port area, and the townies kind of live in one specific area. The affluent townies definitely live in another. And it's so small that like the police precinct is in a strip mall. It's right next to a 7-Eleven and a grocery store. So all of the characters here have some sort of connection to Soufra Shores. Let's see here. So let's go, we'll go character by character, and we'll discuss the tropes that they chose and what their backstory is as characters. And we'll do the survivors first, and then we'll end with the killer. So why don't we start, again, I'll start with Miu.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So my character is Sean Malarkey, and like I said, he's the stoner. Sean grew up in Soufra Shores. Definitely one of the townies, not one of the affluent townies by a long shot. Basically, by the time he got to high school, he kind of had the score figured out. Everyone was either going to work some minimum wage job, making the rich people money, or well, that's it. Like or you left town. So yeah, Sean figured, hey, what the heck? I'll just cause a bunch of trouble. So he got into like doing a bunch of crap, just to piss off the police and to get into trouble, and started dealing. Things got a little hot, so he had to skip town for a while, but he's back in town and he's trying to get elsewhere, but just going to take up some things before he goes to hop the state line.
Nice. So the trope that Sean has is stoner. What does the book kind of say about that? What does that, like, does it give you a benefit? Does it, create problems for you?
It does. It talks about sort of the aspect of the stoner being such a loser. Lazy, not stupid, but lazy. Like, I'd rather get high and play some video games than have and cultivate any kind of meaningful relationship or anything like that. So a way I could invoke that is basically, if I can use drugs, I can kind of shrug off some of the stress of some of the mental stress. I can kind of retreat into. For him, it would be marijuana. He'd light up a joint and get high, and just then he'd be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter all the problems that I have." So I can. It's pretty easy for him to just kind of shrug off a situation.
Okay.
But it's also pretty hard for him to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not one to turn down a joint, even if it is laying in the middle of a bear trap that says, the killer wants to eat you. He's like, there's a joint, So that's a way. That's some of the ways he can get compelled. There's a lot of room for that compelling there.
Yeah.
So we also have the death by entry.
Okay.
Under each of the tropes, and my death by is ostracized by friends.
So maybe, being excluded or left out or, tripped.
Yeah, I mean, you think about how the stoner tends to die in these things, maybe stays behind to spark up a joint because everyone else is freaking out and he needs to calm down. That's how I foresee this going. But Sean's just total stoner.
Yeah.
That is, I do have his trouble as known to authorities.
Oh, okay.
So the cops around here know him.
So there are a couple of game mechanics that Mew brought up. These details that Mew has for the trope and the backstory, they're called aspects, and in play, like me as the director can invoke things. So say something really creepy is happening and Mew's character decided to get high. Well, I could say, I'm going to invoke that you are a stoner, and what you're seeing you believe is a hallucination. And so,
I like it.
Like, yeah, the wheels are already turning. Oh, this is exciting. Okay.
I have a question about that, actually.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Does that mean that if you invoke things, you can set a time where you're like, you are stressed out and you have to use drugs to calm down? Is that how those work?
I think... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, terminology-wise, the players invoke an aspect. Mm-hmm. So I can say, hey, I'm a stoner, so I can just get high and not be completely freaked out about the situation. So that's how I would invoke. I could invoke that aspect. It would be compelled if the GM uses it against me, where it's like, hey, you feel like you have to smoke right now. And then you get a fate point if I accept it, or I can resist it, which is another game term and currency.
So invoking is you taking advantage of something that you have for yourself. Compelling is telling someone, no, you're going to be doing this now because this is a part of your character. And there's a currency involved in that called fate points. And if I am compelling someone to do something, I give them a fate point because the director is going to be a little mean to them. If another player compels another player, which can happen, say the killer wants to compel the stoner's aspect, they can give one of their fate points to the stoner and compel one of their aspects. And an aspect is just a detail about a person. So a trope is the detail of, that they are a stoner. Okay. Callie, let's move on to your character and your backstory.
Sure. So I'm doing Tina Ratherson. Originally, I wanted to do. There's an inbuilt alpha bitch trope in the book, but I also really wanted to do a character that was kind of like a horror movie buff. So I kind of hybridized the two together.
Yeah.
So what I ended up with is Tina's a local. She grew up here. She never left here. Most of her friends went off to college or just left the town. She's just about all that's left. Her dad was ultimately murdered when she was a kid, but her mom told her that her dad went to Hollywood to be a horror movie director, which is kind of what I guess planted that idea of that type of movie. So she got out of high school, started working at the whatever version of Blockbuster we're going to use, and is now an assistant manager, which is pretty important, and runs the local horror movie fan club. So one of the things that I've kind of hybridized the two of being bitchy and also being a horror movie fan is like the high concept for that is I have a very know-it-all and bossy demeanor, but a lot of my horror movie or I may think this can be a great idea to combat a killer, but it's all going to be based off of be great horror movies. So what I think is a great idea probably isn't going to be the best idea. But by God, we're going to do it because I know best.
Nice.
And the trouble that I listed for my background is bad reputation. So being an alpha bitch around town, I have a certain reputation that comes with that. So that could be something invoked in a way that might make it easier to intimidate somebody or get them to do what I want, but also compelled in a way that might make social encounters a lot harder based on.
Yeah, especially if you're like running down the street bloody and asking for help.
Yeah, people may not want to help me after I insulted them at the video store. And yeah, it's about the general. So it's a hybrid concept.
Nice.
I'm excited to play it.
Cool. Callie used another term, high concept. It's a character creation term in Fate and used in Slasher. Basically, it's a generalized summary of who that character is, just to kind of give you a quick, if you were just to glance at someone, say, that's their high concept, that's who they are. And that is another thing that can be invoked or compelled. All right, Steph, let's talk about your character.
Okay, so Harper is also a local, but she kind of grew up in both worlds of her mother's family own a couple of the resorts and hotels in the city, in this area, but her dad was a menial worker on one of the resorts and fell in love with her mom. And, so she's kind of in a situation, or grew up in a situation of like, she has this really affluent, rich side of her family that really look down on them. Mm-hmm. But she lives in the affluent neighborhood. So that'll be interesting to see how she and Sean may have gotten along.
Right.
But my trope is the monster magnet, which Kenny and I worked out to hybrid as well as a death magnet, because there was a serial killer when she was in high school, and Harper is a final girl. So I'm really proud of how I came up with all that. The killer was the Harper View Ripper. So please feel free to use that in any of your stories. We can make up details. I left it vague on purpose, but think the first Scream movie was what I was going for with how it ends. Is that it was her best friend, and her girlfriend, and a bunch of their friends were having a party at one of these like Harbor View, because I figured all the rich people, and this is from my experience living near Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, they all have lakefront properties. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that they would all have harbor views.
Right.
And that party gets taken out by the Ripper, and she's the only one who make it out alive.
Nice.
She leaves town, tries to get away from the resort lifestyle, ends up working back at a hotel just because the recession and it's where she has experience, and is now back in town after her parents died. And mind you, I'm leaving out a couple strings of other people who have died in the interim, like her college roommate, her dog had to be put down, her parents dying in a mysterious accident. And now she's back because she has to take care of the resort, and she's hoping to sell it, but we'll see if she even survives the game.
Oh, the cruelest of ironies. She's ready to sell, and the murderer kills her buyers, and she's stuck.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how. I'm really interested to see how Harper and Tina get along, because Harper was a final girl. So she's going to have no time for this horror movie buff bullshit. Like, they're going to butt heads, and she's going to be like, I know because I lived it.
You'll
Like-
see. You'll see. I'll
It'll
show
be
you.
fun.
See, all you have to do is get
I'm so
your property under escrow, and then it will happen. It'll just happen.
Yeah.
Adulting, the horror game.
Yes.
Sign these contracts. Ooh.
Y'all ain't right.
All right, Kelric, let's talk about your character.
Sure. Ian Hudson. He's just a person who comes from a pretty working class background. His parents were sort of traveling workers, so they just went wherever the seasonal work was, and so they came to work here several times over the course of his life. And he is a Broadway dancer who is on a tour break and just wanted somewhere to go to relax, and had some fond memories of his time here. So he came here to just chill out for a few months before having to go back on tour. And Ian, his trope is the technical pacifist, which I love it because it starts off by saying, you're the ultimate hypocrite. So you value the sanctity of life while simultaneously beating the tar out of someone if you really have to. So the thing that's super exciting about this particular trope is it says death by leaving the wrong person alive, which I can absolutely see happening. Mistakes will be made. For the compel, when it comes time to deliver the final death blow, you just can't do it. That is something you will have to compel, because I don't know if I'll be able to stop myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much raised that you don't leave people to come back after you.
Well, you also have fond memories of zombie horror flicks, so...
Fair. For the invoke, you're surprisingly peaceful for such a badass. Your opponents almost always underestimate you, but when you're backed into a corner, it turns out that you're almost as deadly as the killer themselves. I'm watching you. And I really like that with the Pink Panther element, because I feel like there are a lot of attributes that Ian can have where they've been trained in self-defense and weapon usage. They just don't like killing people. But I mean, you give me a baseball bat and I'll take out a knee. Yeah.
Nice.
Technical pacifist.
So,
right. The high concept here is I can save myself. Thanks.
Awesome. And so you visited Sulphur Shores as a kid. And so you're coming back just to kind of get away from it all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, I have fond memories of my parents working here during the summertime, and it's, just kind of a place that seemed nice.
Nice.
Tourists.
So
Yes.
let's discuss the killer.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God.
Tell us about our nemesis.
So I do want to say that like the interesting thing about this game is that it's a collaborative story, and that nothing is really super hidden from all the players. Though Jess and I will definitely be collaborating in the background. So the fact that you know what Jess's character is and what they can potentially do is fine. It's just fine because I'm very certain that we will come up with some amazing surprises. And in that and of itself will be pretty intense, I feel. Sorry, Jess, take it away.
So I will be playing Willow, who is the slasher in Slasher. When she was very young, she discovered she had the power to bring inanimate objects to life. And the way she discovered this is she was playing cops and robbers with her parents and was shooting a Nerf gun at them, and then they were suddenly riddled with holes. She...
What?
We're gonna die.
That is crazy.
Oh God.
Oh.
She has the blank mask, which is like part of the killer mechanics, is that they have a mask. She has a blank mask, and part of Willow's personality is that because this very traumatic thing happened when she was a kid, she's never really grown up. So she plays with lots of toys and dolls, and she when she was younger, tore the face off of one of her dolls and uses it as a mask. And it
No.
No, thank you. Mm-mm.
So what does that look like?
No.
Off, so it looks like an unpainted porcelain doll face, basically.
So while it is creepy as hell, what mechanically does that do for you?
So the mask mechanically gives her the lurk power, which means that basically it's a lot more difficult to find me. With the lurk power, I can move freely without being noticed.
How is that a thing? You're wearing a porcelain face mask. What?
Yeah, but it's a spooky one.
But like, who isn't
But
wearing
it
a porcelain
reflects the
face
light.
mask?
Yeah.
I want you to picture yourself walking down the street and you see someone in a porcelain doll mask turn the corner. Did you see anything?
Nope.
You know what I saw? I knew exactly where they were until they were out of sight, but near me. That's what I saw. I can save myself. Thank you very much.
So,
Narratively, the reason she has this lurk power, so that's the power that comes with the blank mask that I chose. But like narratively, the reason she has this ability is she's from the area of Sufra, but like her family was actually just outside of town. They were very reclusive and managed to just sort of like keep to themselves most of the time. So people in town knew about their existence because it's such a small area. Everyone knows one another. But no one knew about Willow. Like no one knew that her mom was pregnant with her. No one knew that this couple who like lived out in the woods had a kid. And then one day someone in town was like, hey, we haven't heard from that weird couple in a while, have we? Someone should go check it out. And so they went to the house and found them dead and found evidence that a child had been there, but didn't find any trace, like didn't actually find Willow.
That's
So narratively, she has that power to like go unnoticed because she learned it from her parents.
Oh my gosh. So I love all of this. In my head, there is a concurrent story going around that Sioux Falls has an annual like doll
Shores
show, Sioux Shores. It's like a doll show and they do like doll parade and everyone, that's why this mask thing.
Yes.
Totally. No,
Yeah.
everyone has one of these because we have the doll parade for when it's tourist season.
Well, that's
Exactly.
canon.
It's the doll festival.
She doesn't wear it upside down, does she?
Oh, I'm creeping myself out. I hate this.
So, Sioux Shores Doll Parade, writing that down.
Don't write that down. It's awful.
I have heard that enough on your show, Callie, that I think it turned out as fair play.
Yeah. Let's talk about your creep factors there, Callie. Come on now.
So what else goes on with the killer there?
Sorry, someone just said that will definitely bring the value down in any real estate.
Okay, well, so maybe that begs me discussing a little bit about Sioux Shores. because there was a mass murder that happened there. People are dying all over the place. How are people still coming here as a vacation hotspot? I'll tell you.
Oh, that doesn't make anything but the local news.
Well, no, exactly,
That
and
would
that's
be
it.
suppressed, if anything.
Yeah, the locals survive off of the people who come in during the tourist season. And so the locals don't say anything about it. The locals keep it calm. And there are a few stories that leak out into the public and that do attract some people who search for these weird goings-ons. It does one of two things. It ostracizes them from the general public, and often they end up missing.
Good. Good. This sounds like a great place to live. I'm glad that I decided to stay here.
Yeah.
I can't
Are we
believe-
gonna
Hey, you're
find
an
an
assistant
oubliette
manager at the
somewhere?
video store.
Yeah.
There may or may not be dead bodies everywhere.
So keep an eye out for ossuaries and oubliettes. Okay.
Yep.
I feel like it's like
Good to
that
know.
scene in Clue where they open the door and they're like, dead body? Yep, still there. And then just close the door and move on.
Yes. Just
It's like that
occasional
with dead
skeletons.
bodies and doll masks.
Dolls
like, oh cool, a
creeping
room
out
full of creepy
so
dolls. Must be time for the doll parade.
Oh, please tell me that in the parade, everyone runs around with doll masks on for like the whole weekend.
Oh, I thought that's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's the
gotta
point.
be like gotta be the whole thing, right? Because
Yeah.
it's normalized so that there's
There-
walking around with the blank doll mask like,
So-
oh, they just didn't
are
decorate the
th-
mask.
I feel like there are 3 stores that sell doll masks in the area. Like, so they're everywhere.
And they're all themed. You know, it depends on where you are at. If you're on
Oh.
shoreside, they're kind of like shore themed masks.
Oh,
Um,
hurting myself.
I
Probably
imagine
some, like,
one
classic-
of those like pottery paint places.
Yes.
Yes.
Paint your own doll mask.
oh, and there will have to be a kiln room.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there always has to be a kiln room. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
I mean, I'm personally as the killer not interested in a kiln room. What would I even do?
Not
with
at all. I have no idea. A kiln room full of masks that need to be fired?
I mean, also burn a killer there,
Uh,
right?
It's going to be a Sanderson sister reunion. So this is actually something that I wanted to ask about setting, and I was kind of thinking that it would be interesting to have it be not tourist season, like off season, when all of the characters kind of descend on the town. But I really want to incorporate this parade of dolls because
Is this like their one big off-season event?
maybe
Or maybe it's the
the
kickoff to tourist season.
I was actually thinking it's the sign off to tour season.
Oh.
I
It
like that.
ends with the big doll parade.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that when we're going to discuss the adventures next during the Face Trio, and I think maybe that is the starting adventure, that each of you was at the doll parade.
That's amazing. So
Yes.
here's another thought for the reason it's off. If it's off season,
Yeah.
they want everyone to get together and do a trial run to make sure that all the floats and everything are up to par for tourist season. So they do like, a week of pulling everything out and doing like trial parades
Test run.
to make sure that everything is working for the season because it's so important.
So like imagine like these makeshift canvases like flapping around in the breeze with like a lot of different scaffolding and like just these different areas along the main street where you see these doll masks everywhere, and you see some toys, and you see these brightly colored cloths of what could be gingham dresses, and like just all these different details all along Main Street as
They've
people
gotta be-
prepare.
There's
I
gotta be
don't-
just like tons of doll masks, like just on the walls and just everything. Just it sounds horrible.
I hesitate to give Jess ideas, but I had this picture as you were describing the scaffoldings and like things hanging off them at one point because people aren't really looking up after a while. You know, when you get used to something being there. Callie knows where I'm going.
Oh.
And it's coming. There's a person hung off of one of those scaffoldings dressed like a doll.
Like a marionette type.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And now we just went to NSYNC for some reason. So let's talk about the phase trio. In the world of Fate, you are creating your character's adventure. There's sort of backstory where everyone met and got along. In Slasher specifically, there's a lot of ways that the characters tie into each other. And so at the first phase of the phase trio is discussing what the adventure is, where, you know, the first initial creepy thing that happened, the first brush with the killer, the first brush with someone dead in the town, the first brush with something that, you know, caused them alarm in Sufra Shores. Being that the time frame is that Kel's character, I'm sorry, what was the character's name again?
Ian Hudson.
Ian Hudson. Being that Ian Hudson is just arriving into town, it has to be actually within that time frame of Ian arriving. So let's start with Ian to kind of establish that timeline. And then we can go around and discuss what everyone's adventure is. We will reserve the killer for last because the killer gets something a little special.
Of course she does.
Ominous.
So, Kelrick, tell me about what are your ideas around Ian Hudson's adventures? And this is something that everyone can kind of jump in and collaborate on and contribute to, just like we did with the doll parade, which was lovely. I am thrilled about this.
So I'm honestly still not quite clear on how to build the adventure. Like it's
sure. So Ian,
it's so different that I'm struggling here.
Okay, so it's a couple of sentences about something that Ian experienced in this case after they arrived in Sufra Shores. So is Ian arriving before the doll parade? I would think so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
So what would Ian do after arriving to Sufra Shores?
Immediately, they would have booked a room somewhere, like a room in a bed and breakfast or something.
So would you have gone to the Bronze Flamingo?
Which one has the best reviews online?
It would be the Bronze Flamingo.
Then yes, that's where he would go. Absolutely.
You just blocked my opportunity of having an instance for him and Harper to interact by him staying at her parents' resort.
You know what? Actually, then let's do that. Or maybe your parents actually owned the Bronze Flamingo as well.
They could have. Her mom's family owns a ton of them. So I can add that she did it. It's just Harper's focusing on, I could just change the name. Screw it. We'll just go with that as opposed to the one that I had written down. I mean, I had the Grand Rose because
so
I was going to continue the pink jokes, but
when we initially started, I came up with a seed for the story and for the location Sufra Shores, and I came up with a couple of names for places, and one of them was the Bronze Flamingo, and I'm kind of endeared to it.
All right.
The director's prerogative.
Let me say, one of the things I'm loving right now is that it's the Bronze Flamingo, and when I see it in writing, I just see the bronze, and then Callie is basically playing Cordelia. This is an episode of Buffy with dolls, and I'm totally loving every second of it.
Does that make me Buffy?
Maybe.
Close, yeah, with the monster magnet.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think if anything, you're Xandar.
Yeah, you're a little more of a Xander character.
Can I at least be Willow?
Willow's not really a monster magnet as much as Xander. Like Xander is the real monster magnet.
Yeah, because he has the whole line of, no more butt monkey, because he's tired.
I know,
that
and Xander
person.
with the funny syphilis.
I forgot about No More Butt Monkey. Oh, Buffy.
We were trying to stay away from Weeded, weren't we?
But Buffy
right.
is iconic.
Well, and I mean, it's the bronze, and we have Callie playing Cordelia. I mean, it's just too perfect. Oh, I'm sorry. Nightbot has reminded me this is Slasher, not Buffy. My bad.
All right, so Ian is staying at the Bronze Flamingo.
Yes.
Where do you think a good starting adventure for Ian would be? I would put money down that, like, going through Main Street and seeing all of the initial decorations for the doll parade or something creepy happening there.
So I agree. It brings back, I think Ian is walking through town, just trying to find a place where he can, continue doing his stretching and practice dancing and working out so that he's still ready for the season. But as he's walking around, he's seeing all the dolls, and it brings up a memory of being in town with his parents during this when they were working, and there being some issue on a float and them needing a kid to be on the float dressed up. And so he got pulled into wearing one of the doll masks and being on one of the floats in the parade. And it's just one of those memories where he's like, oh, right. I forgot all about this horse shit.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some guiding questions from the rule book. I'm getting official.
Bold.
So something bad happened. What was it? Did it happen to you, to someone you care about, or to someone you were coerced into helping?
And this is in present time. This is what just happened.
In present time. Something bad happened.
Can I throw out a suggestion?
Oh, please do, because I am blank as a doll's empty head.
Well, okay, so I'm adding more decor, and Jess can chime in whether or not this is something her creeper would do. I'm just picturing like the opening scene of a horror movie, when like we're following your character as they're coming in, and there is a sea of doll decorations. Like some of them are up like scarecrows, even maybe.
Oh my gosh.
What's wrong with this town? What is wrong with these people?
And
have you never been to like some small town festival? This is what they do.
Seriously,
Yeah.
they go like off.
Not this
It's nuts.
creepy.
Well, instead of going red and wild, they just went doll.
And there's Willow, there's just character hanging out with her mask on, and then from the corner of Ian's eye sees her move and tries to be like, no, I'm just imagining things, but then looks back and the doll's not there anymore.
Great.
So I would say that's a great start, but someone needs to be hurt.
So my idea for this would be that Ian, while staying in the Bronze Flamingo, like came to stay in the Bronze Flamingo, and like the first night everything was fine, and then the next morning woke up and there were police all over the hotel because the person in the room next to his was murdered in the nighttime. There was a statue of a bronze flamingo in the Bronze Flamingo. There's one in every bedroom, of course.
Of course.
And somehow that flamingo statue has moved, and there's blood all over its beak and little like flamingo talon feet.
The one in my room?
The one in the room next to yours.
Oh,
so like
God.
your neighbor was murdered in the night.
Okay, just making sure that my flamingo wasn't used in the murder.
Your flamingo wasn't used, but
Gone
in
to
my
jail.
story, there is a flamingo in your room still.
Okay. So maybe I'm looking for a new hotel. Because
Okay.
no.
So someone was murdered in the middle of the night. You were looking for a new place to stay.
Yes.
is there anything that is standing against you doing this? I think because it is near the end of tourist season, you can't find another place to stay.
Okay. That sucks.
What are you going to do with that statue?
All right, so I'm going to be looking for a hardware store, and I will just pay the fees for drilling into the doors.
Extra locks. Good idea.
Okay.
Ian is doing fairly well at this point.
Okay.
So
So
also, even better, instead of the murder happening in the middle of the night, it happened in the middle of the day while everyone was like out doing touristy things. You came back to your hotel at the end of the day and someone had been murdered and no one saw it, even though it was daytime.
Broad daylight. Yes.
Amazing.
that's brilliant. Okay, so what aspect could we assign to this?
All right, so give me an example of aspects again.
Knows that there's a murderer. So it would you could use that to boost that there is an awareness, but it
Yeah,
could also
can
be
it be
used
like-
against you as a compel because it would creep you out.
So
On
it
edge.
knows there's a murderer or is on guard.
Yeah, I like on guard.
On guard. Yeah.
I can save myself.
That can be both. Sorry, I was just going to say that
Yeah.
could both be a something that you could invoke. That hey, I'm on guard, and it could also be something that's compelled against you.
Double-edged. Yeah.
That's, and those are the best aspects, the ones that can go both ways. So
Yep.
going like, is that something that someone can compel? Like, no, you're on guard. You're not able to relax.
And
Yeah.
Katie in chat actually makes a great point. Is there a drill still in your room?
What do you mean?
Because you
Drilled out the locks.
yeah.
Is there a drill in your bedroom? Because the person who can bring inanimate things to life is interested in that.
The person who owns the
Fuel
hotel.
rental. Fuel rental. That's what it was. It's
So-
not there anymore.
so I think the drill would probably get me kicked out if they could kick me out. So I probably would go old school and just use, strength and a screwdriver to drill into to drill the screw into the door and set up my own locks, plural.
All right. Let us move on. So that sounds like a good adventure. So we're the time frame for the adventure is like during the week of the doll parade.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
let's go to Callie next.
I think probably a good instance of it would be just having her show up in my video store. I kind of feel like it would be like it's a video store, so it's not going to be that busy. So I feel like maybe one day during the same time frame, I'm just sitting there behind the desk, and there's somebody just standing in the aisles, not choosing a video. And I don't know how Jess would want like an interaction to that go. Either I see them on the camera and I go over there and they're gone, or I'm talking to them and they're just not saying anything back, and then I get wigged out and go turn around and then they're gone or something like that. But I feel like maybe because I imagine that Willow just kind of walks around and does whatever they want, and maybe they're scoping out people they want to kill, or maybe they're just wandering. But I think that's probably how I would be introduced to the idea of something being off. But I also don't know if that would necessarily. It is doll season as much as a horrible.
So in Seattle we have
That's going
spider
in all
season.
marketing from now on.
It's doll season.
Slasher films.
Oh, I just see some creepy doll face pin coming out of this. I'm not happy.
I am very
Haunted Doll
happy.
Watch. Sorry, wrong podcast.
Yeah, so I think probably my interaction for that would probably be something just to kind of get me in the idea that that's weird. There's somebody weird going around. And I think I probably would have either seen Ian. I'd imagine video stores. It's probably small towns. The video store is probably pretty close to the hardware stores. So I see this.
Let's zoom in on just your character.
Okay.
We'll do cross.
We're not linking yet.
Not
All right.
quite yet.
Yeah, so I think that encounter with somebody creepily standing in my store, not really picking anything up or looking at anything, and just I'm creeping myself out just thinking about a kind of scenario.
I think
like
that's a good start, but something bad needs to happen.
I don't know how many
Turn it
murders.
up.
Yeah, how many murders do we want Willow to have done? Because I could.
Well, no.
all the
So
murders.
this is the
You
fun
could have
thing.
seen her leaving.
Like this is the fun thing to me. I had just recently watched Halloween, and like the new one with Jamie Lee Curtis, amazing, absolutely fucking brilliant. There were deaths that I just didn't anticipate happening. You know, there were people that were either killed off screen or that died, but you got showed their corpse. And I was just like, oh, okay, that happened.
So like a background death almost.
A little bit, and it was a character that you didn't really meet, that didn't say anything. So this is kind of your moment in this preparation to create a character.
I know exactly.
Okay.
It's my manager.
Oh, nice.
So after this encounter, I'm gonna go back into the office where my manager Bob Jimson just sits in the back all day and does absolutely nothing and just expects me to run the store. And Bob is gonna be fucking dead. And I think that Tina would react to that by covering it up because she's known to not get along with Bob and known to be a bitch, and I'd probably be a prime suspect. So
Wow.
I think I'm gonna dumpster Bob.
All right.
Me was itching.
I just wanted to say that I was just going to pop in that I wanted him to be killed by one of the cardboard cutouts.
Ooh.
Like one of the
Ooh.
life-size
that's
cardboard
perfect.
cutouts, like some action hero just totally beat the crap out of him.
Oh, it's got to be like it's gonna be a Jason like a Jason cutout because my video story's gonna be like horror themed. So yeah, so the murder scene will be him dead with this bloodied like wooden Jason cutout that we use for like store displays.
Can we, instead of a like horror movie, like a bloody Jason thing, can it be like there was recently a horror movie where there were like it was like an animated horror movie or something, so it's actually like a big panda or something, like a big fuzzy adorable panda bear that like that's the cardboard cutout.
Kung Fu Panda?
Can it be?
Yeah.
Can it be like the Pikachu movie?
Yeah.
Coming out like some Pokemon just killed this guy.
Detective Pikachu.
I'm really happy that we are marked as
There's just
adult
blood
only.
all over it.
Whatever it is, I want it to be like a cute, cuddly animal that like
It's got to be detective.
so
I
unassuming.
guess that's the question: is our setting current timeline, or are we set in the past?
I see no problem with making it current because Super Shores is far enough off the grid that cell phone service is spotty, and that's the bane of every storyteller.
It's definitely gonna be Detective Pikachu then, just a bloodied up. How would somebody kill with the card? Oh, it's a Detective Pikachu cardboard cutout rolled up and like jammed violently down Bob's throat, and just done.
Oh my gosh.
Which is probably what killed Bob, so I got a dumpster Bob.
Okay. Yep. So you dumpster Bob. Let's say what would be there is a great aspect here, and I'm not like my mind isn't forming it yet, but there's a good one.
There's got to be an
Click on your
aspect
feet.
of hiding, like really good at hiding things or something like that.
I like the reaction being so quick to just, I got to dumpster this person.
Let's go like quick on her feet or something.
No,
Yeah.
Or no
hide
hesitation.
Not it.
hide the evidence or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of more prone to concealing things than addressing them in a proper
I
fashion.
think you're going a little deep there.
Yeah.
So tell me
really
about your
got
dreams.
it. That was good.
That is awesome. Okay, so that will be the aspect for this backstory.
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
All right, Bob.
Sorry, Bob. Miu.
Yes.
Sean Malarkey, what is their adventure in this dull hell?
Okay, so Sean Malarkey has come back to town. Basically, he's looking to offload his current stash and try to hop the border down. I think we said this is in Washington, so it'd be heading just south to Oregon. But I think Sean would have gotten to town and all kinds of weird stuff's been going on, right?
Mhm.
And Sean is known to authorities.
Yep.
And so I kind of had this idea that, yeah, Sean and one particular, when he left, the guy was like a deputy sheriff.
Mhm.
He might even be the sheriff now. But that Sean and he had some like real issues. Like, I don't know, maybe Sean was dealing to his kid or something and he got caught. But they've got some real beef. So I just have this idea of Sean getting back in town. He's like, okay, I'm back in town. I'm going to take care of this stuff, and then I'm on my way. Like, I'm only here for a couple days. And next thing he knows, he's in his van. There's a cop banging on the window.
Okay, that's a great
And they
start.
want to know, like, hey, Sean, been a long time since I've seen you. Tell me what have you been up to the last couple of days?
Okay. Please say you're arrested.
So that's kind of how arrested. Okay. Yeah. I could definitely see it. Like, what you're going to have to come down to the station and answer a few questions for us.
Okay. So the station is in the strip mall. It is literally sandwiched between the grocery store and a 7-Eleven.
Mhm.
Come on.
Have like 2 cells.
Yeah, like 2 cells. Like it's barely more secure than an Old West saloon type, sheriff's office. So I'm imagining. Oh, okay.
We only have mall cops.
Yeah, basically. Well, you have a very, very limited police force.
Good.
Okay.
Literally have lived in places where the courthouse was in a beach house, like on stilts. Like they hollowed out the inside and set up a bench, and that was it. Like, there's the courthouse. So yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Oh my
a
god.
yeah. I think that you were arrested. What do you try to get out of this? Like, what does Sean do?
Cellmate is.
Oh.
Let's see. Sean. Well, see, that's the thing. Sean would just be like mouthy.
Okay.
Like Sean is very much into like conspiracies and very kind of anarchist, like that Northwest anarchist punk kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'd basically be like, hey man, you can't do this. You know, he's got his phone out. He's trying to record, like getting up in the cop's face, like shoving the phone up in his face. Recording, like, what you going to do? What you going to do? I can record you.
Okay.
So I don't know that Sean might have had to spend a couple of days in there, but he would have been exonerated because other things would have happened
Okay.
while he was in jail. I think but I feel like the sheriff's deputy or whatever that brought me in, like, is just watching,
Okay.
you know? So
Like he's convinced that you did it. or did
maybe
something.
the aspect is like under surveillance.
That's actually a great aspect because you can use that to your advantage very easily, as well as
Yep.
have it really be used against you. That is awesome.
Yeah, I think under surveillance as an aspect. So yeah, now I know that the cop and his buddies are all watching me everywhere I go.
Nice.
Like keeping tabs on where I go and what I'm doing, because at least one of them suspects Sean.
Very good. All right. We have been streaming for over an hour now. I think it's time for a break, and we will pick up with Steph when we get back.
That's good.
All right, we'll be back in about 5 or so minutes. Music
Ta-da! Woo!
There's me. Okay, yay, we are back. Everybody is still alive. Woohoo!
More than
now.
so far.
Our before I forget, our intro music and the theme music we've been using at pause and everything is titled Displaced Memories. It is by an artist named David Hillowitz. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org.
We also used some of their music on the Human Era podcast.
Yeah.
I love that theme song on that one.
Yeah, the freemusicarchive.org has been amazing for finding background music and stuff. So
That are in Compotech, yeah, both of those are really good sources.
yeah. All right. So where we left off was discussing the backstory adventure for each of our characters. We have one for Ian, we have one for Tina, and we have one for Sean. Now we need one for Harper.
Yes. And I don't have anything really current, so if some of my other players have ideas, I'm open to suggestions.
Well, in break, it sounded like Jess had an idea.
That's what I was trying to do without being clunky, Kenny.
I'm awkward. I will do this awkwardly.
I love it.
That's my man.
So I think, can you remind me, your character just recently came back to town, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But your character grew up here in Sioux
Yes.
Shores. So what I was thinking is that when Harper got back to town, she like reconnected with old friends, and then maybe like refound their high school best friend or something. Unless that was the same best friend as like went with her to college.
That's the one that died.
Okay, so reconnected with like whoever was the next best friend in high school, and they like reconnected right away. Things were great. They like, it was like a day hadn't even passed. They were immediately best friends again, bonded over missing the dead best friend. And then that best friend
Oh, what are you gonna do?
was murdered. I mean, obviously, you saw where I was going with this.
All right.
Huh.
That is a great story seed.
And I was
That
thinking it could
is-
be something like, since Harper managed to leave the Ripper in her past, the murder was very reminiscent of the way that the Ripper murdered their victims. So it even seems like that murderer that like she was the final girl for, it wasn't actually defeated.
And that's perfect because I had this idea for an aspect, and this just plays right into it perfectly, which is Final Girl in a sequel.
Aspect.
Because that means all bets are off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it also means like she has the added paranoia of having been through this before and all of the years of protecting herself from it happening again. But it can be used against me because the trouble I had come up with is nobody believes her or nobody takes her seriously. And this kind of would play into that because
Real
I'm not gonna take you seriously either. Tina's probably gonna be trying to tell you what to do, and you've lived through the fucking thing.
I know that's gonna be
I heard
fun.
that as all bets are off.
Yeah, not again.
Doll bets are off.
All bets.
Oh,
This is Puntimes, is it
It is
not?
it
Fun
is
times.
Puntimes.
That's going into the next thing. I'm writing that down, by the way.
That's amazing. That could be
Alright.
a local colloquial saying.
Doll bets are off.
Yes.
Yes.
I do want to say that even with all of the murders, the town seems to maintain about 1,000 in population. Don't know how it happens.
People
Lot of
reproduce
tourists.
like rabbits.
Yeah, aggressive breeding program.
Oh,
Oh. All right. So
This show is gonna kill me.
That's the goal.
Oh my gosh, Kelric. Okay. I'm smiling too much. All right. So the killer gets a special adventure called a legend. So you have this backstory that you shared with us. What do people say about you?
That's a good question. I was hoping some of the other players could help me come up with this because I can see it from the killer perspective of at this point, like I have the doll mask, so people don't necessarily notice me. So I was thinking it was still sort of like an urban legend type deal where maybe people still haven't even fully put together who Willow's parents were, that like that's where Willow came from. She's just sort of this, like they're just like weird things that have been going on for years where like sometimes, you know, people's toys come to life or like people's toys seem to like magically appear in different places and that person is dead for some reason.
So maybe that's like the origin of the doll festival, is that, you know, it's a festival to ward away this evil.
Yes.
It's very New Orleans.
Yeah.
So
I
how
love
long
that.
ago was that first encounter with Willow's parents?
I was thinking about 25 to 30 years ago.
So, but this is the thing. The doll festival has been happening for over a century.
I like it.
Mask dolls.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm not creative enough right now, but I bet you there's a nursery rhyme or something that they say about it.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
If not me, Jeff, one of the two of us can come up with something. We'll workshop it.
All right. So I think that is amazing. I think that is a great legend to kind of come in
I feel
on.
like the name needs to be like alliterative somehow, like Deborah Dollhouse or something.
Oh, I think it needs to be generic, so I don't know if assigning a specific name to it. But
Well, like
Like dalliances with dolls.
I like that for like a title, but for if you're having like a boogie kind of person, they'll have names.
The doll dancer.
Uh,
That's
I
pretty
like
good.
that.
the dreaded doll dancer.
Well, when you say it like
Dances with
that.
dolls.
Dances with dolls. No, I think the doll dancer is great, and it also kind of nods to Jess's power,
That's true.
to Willow's power, I
Okay.
should say.
Jess, is there something you're not telling us?
What?
This is how Jess comes out.
Should fly off the
I
shelves
have too
behind
many
us.
figures.
I'm like,
I
is
don't
there
want
anything in the
poison
background?
ivy to
You can't see
kill
anything in the
me.
background.
Oh my gosh, a nerd has to die by minifigure.
Yeah,
Sure.
it has to happen.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes.
Can you imagine like if
It's
all
a
your like little
collectible.
Star Wars guys came to life and all of a sudden there's a million tiny lightsabers trying to cut you up?
God.
I like to think it's
Oprah's
the
travels
Voltron
there.
set and the lions eat you.
That's really it, yeah.
I have a Thor pop, and all I'm imagining is getting my skull crushed by Mjolnir.
Tiniest Mjolnir.
All right. Okay. So we've each come up with an adventure for each of the characters. Now is the time where every character takes part in every other character's adventure. So what I'm going to do is do it by placement. Oh, okay. Well, we could either do it that way, or if a specific character's backstory calls to you, like you would have been involved in one way or another. And I have the book to help me kind of prompt that a little bit as well to flesh it out. But does anyone have a specific backstory that they want to be involved in first?
I want to be involved with Ian's. And
Okay.
I think that
I kind of want to be involved with Harper's too, so that works perfectly.
Okay, so let's start with Callie. How was Tina involved with Ian?
with that particular backstory, because I feel like
Yes.
she probably does like they probably rotate out the videos they have available at the resort. They probably come from that store, so maybe she was going to drop off a new shipment at the same time that the whole police hubbub was there. And I don't know, I probably wouldn't have met. Would I have crossed paths? with Ian there?
So a part of it is so there are you have to have met the person, and you
Okay.
have to have either complicated their adventure, helped them solve their adventure, or a little bit of both.
In that case, I think that I probably would have gone to the same hardware store to get a bunch of like black plastic bags to put Bob in.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
In an act of some kind, maybe?
I don't
Right.
think I would have chopped him up. I just think I would have I mean, Bob's a big boy, so probably need a few bags, but just like fold him up and then roll him into the dumpster.
So what would Tina have said to Ian, who was renting this drill or buying these screws?
The
So
screwdriver,
if
not
we're
a drill.
standing in line, I'm probably behind him in line. And he's, going through the process of filling out the paperwork for renting, and I'm sitting here with the armload of plastic bags with a time-sensitive thing. So I'm probably gonna bitch at him, which is just gonna, hey man, can you hurry up? I got places to be. Come on, do you mind if I skip in front of you or something here?
I absolutely do mind.
Great. Well, okay. Well, if you want to just fill that out to the side,
I don't.
I can check out. Okay. All
Listen,
right.
I have been around enough queens that I don't need gratitude as well.
Oh, all right. Okay, fine.
And get it done.
I hate tourists. God.
So
We don't have to be friends.
Stan, who runs the store?
Oh, that is a good question. Yes, Stan is a great name for someone who would run a hardware store. Stan.
So I'm going to appeal to Stan and then go, hey, Stan, do you mind just ringing me up? I got to get back to the shop.
I'll just put it on your tab.
All right.
Or
Well,
Kelrick.
I'd say enjoy the town.
Hell yeah.
I guess tourist season. Look, I'm sorry. I'm a little stressed out right now. I assume you're here for the Doll Festival.
Yeah. Just in town, trying to rest. And I had some memories of the Doll Festival, so I thought it'd be fun to come back. I forgot what it was like. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really change, but you know, I whatever. I guess you forgot. That's fine. But fine. Look,
Apology accepted. Thanks.
yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
I'm glad you understand that, and
I've been around drag queens. I get it.
okay. Well, all you had to do was just move to the side.
So I feel like this argument like takes another 5 minutes after several other turns.
Reignites,
Just snarking at each other. Just snarking the whole time.
Okay. I think it's amazing that you just started a scene. I was looking for like 2 sentences. That's awesome. Okay.
That's how I met Ian.
That is how you met Ian and how you played into Ian's adventure.
That's amazing.
All right.
Great when we meet again. I'm sure we're gonna get along great.
Miyu, how did Sean play into Tina's adventure?
So I like the idea that because Sean and Tina grew up in the same town. And so Sean, how old is Tina?
You mean Harper?
Oh, no.
That one. How old is Harper?
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you meaning to be with Callie's character? Or were you meaning to be with Steph's character?
I meant to be with Steph's character.
My bad.
That was my bad too. I just totally flipped names around. All right, Harper. How old is Harper?
I'd say Harper's 30, in her 30s, early 30s.
Cool.
Yeah.
About the same age as Sean. So we would have gone to high school together and so on. Playing into your backstory about the Ripper and all that, I feel like you'd be probably reading like the local news or whatever at the place, and I'd be coming by I'd be swinging by after I got out of the station. Sean would immediately swing by to start hawking his wares, so to speak, to your clientele. But Sean's also a lot of like a conspiracy theorist. So he sees all this and I feel like he'd like see Harper and just be like, "Hey Harps, what's up?"
I love it.
Which is probably a voice you
Harps.
Oh yeah, you haven't heard, no one's called you Harps except for Sean, and like you haven't heard that voice in forever. So you're just standing there reading about this and you just hear that voice, "Hey Harps, what's up?"
Absolutely. And then what starts off with her being like, "Please don't break the law in my establishment because I like you, but I will throw you out." Transitions to them talking conspiracy theories about the media in the town,
So
like covering up all the murders.
This is Sean coming in on your adventure where you are encountering your friend dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Again.
Oh, okay. So coming in on your
Yeah.
So what would you do after you found your character dead? Or not your character, after you found your character dead?
I would leave.
Reroll.
You find your friend dead. Where's the first place you go to deal with that?
Ice cream pop. Come on. Everyone needs sugar after a death.
I think she's a drink after she's done talking to the police.
So
I guess that's
probably
an
call the
adult response.
There you go.
Or
There you
go
go.
into.
Okay, you find your character. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I imagine there's only exactly one local watering hole that is not attached to a B&B or some other like touristy establishment, and it is like the building over from the complex that has the police precinct.
And we call it
Which is the first place Sean goes
Exactly.
after getting out of there.
Yeah. What? Kelly, do you have an idea for a name?
Say that, you know how like a lot of pubs are called like the Boar's Head or the Doll's Head.
The Doll's Head.
The Doll's Head
Or
pub,
the
yes.
Doll's Head pub.
Okay. Yep.
The Doll's Head pub and tavern.
Yeah.
Authentic old European food, which is not authentic old or European.
Nope.
But that's what it would be. Like the Doll's Head Tavern, and head is spelled with an
Oh.
extra E at the end.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's fancy.
Unnecessary umlauts
Exactly.
over things. Be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where Sean would catch up with Harper. And yeah, I feel like Harper and Sean would get into talking about all the weird stuff that goes on in town, all the different murders. This is where you get the exposition talk between two people who know each other about all the weird stuff that's gone on in town. Like, yes, so it's Doll Festival weekend, which has been happening for 100 years.
And one of you two is the first to die usually. That's perfect.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
Hell yeah. I fully expect Harper. I know BU is expecting Sean to be the first to die. I'm expecting it to be Harper. Because as part of the monster magnet is death by knows too much.
I'm expecting Willow to die first.
We could have a Deadpool going on here.
They started in chat earlier. They totally did.
Yeah, Counterbolt was saying that Mew would. So
I think we have a Deadpool officially started.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Question, Sean would know this from high school at least. Did Harper partake back in the day?
I think so. I think her entire friend group did.
Sean would be inviting you out to, hop in his van, go out in the woods, and smoke a blunt on the roof like old times. Just us on the van in the woods hanging out after all the crazy crap. Because I like to think that Sean was maybe a sort of casual friend. Like we hung in different cliques, but we got along.
Yeah, maybe Sean wasn't there by like a fluke. It wasn't that they didn't invite him, but maybe he was sick or.
Oh no!
He was
Sean
supposed
swung
to be
by,
there that
hooked
night.
everyone up at the party. Sean swung by, hooked everyone up at the party, then went to go make other deliveries. Like minutes before the Ripper did its thing, Sean's there dropping off deliveries like bags and bags, and then I got other deliveries.
See, I imagine Sean is actually very lucky until he is around Harper for too long.
Yeah, I do too.
I like the idea. I like the idea that like Harper's my unlucky charm.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm the only one that's lucky from hanging out around Harper.
Maybe
everybody else gets their luck stat dragged down.
So
I absorb everyone's luck from Harper.
So your contribution to Harper's adventure is that you help her get over the trauma of what
you commiserate.
You commiserate a bit, and then you bring up old shit.
So I would like to think an aspect for Harper might be partakes.
Okay, that'd be an interesting aspect.
Or partakes occasionally.
Does that sound like one for Harper? Or
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's
something
one of
that kind of came out of that.
Maybe did in the past, and maybe when she was away, she didn't as much. But now that she's back in Sufa, it's just kind of like
you are totally.
I can't not. Now I remember why I was doing this shit. It's like I need the weed.
What about
What?
falls into old habits.
Old habits.
Or old habits die hard.
Yeah.
Old die hard.
Besides, man, like how can you say no to someone as chill as this? Like let's just go have a blunt, chill on top of the van, man.
All right.
Just go look at the stars and talk about shit.
So we've had Sean and Harper, and we've had Tina and Ian. Ian, how are you going to contribute to either Sean's or Harper's? Actually, how are you going to contribute to Sean's? Because I think that's where we're at.
I think.
And all these don't happen at simultaneously at the same time. Like this happens at different time frames. So it could happen before or after your adventure.
So Sean's adventures, they got arrested.
Yeah.
This is a good question.
If you were ex-Pink Panther, Kit that to that, you might have been giving Overwatch for that, recording it, or maybe something similar.
Or may have been brought into the police station for questioning after a body was found next to his hotel room.
Oh, to give a
that's
statement.
fair. That could happen just before I met up with Callie's character.
Yeah.
Tina, which is why I was so not up for her bullshit, because I'd just been in jail being questioned for something I didn't know anything about, and now I just need to make sure my room is secure. And here's this jackass trying to push in front of me, and I'm just not having it.
Okay, so
being in jail, I can absolutely see Sean being behind bars and asking, is this the person who did it? And, getting the cops a little riled up, because I was like, I am so over this garbage. Why are you harassing me if you have someone arrested for this already? Why am I even here? If you've got someone in mind, you don't need me. I didn't see anything. I just have to go buy some stuff so I can be secure. Why are you wasting my time? Yeah, totally.
Hey, man. See, I was behind bars when that whole weird flamingo thing happened.
How long have you been behind bars, huh? How long have you been there? I don't know. And when did it happen? You know when it happened? So you were in jail at that time? And I look at the...
Oh, yeah, man. I heard all the cops, their radios going, burp, 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 bronze flamingo, yeah.
So you heard that outside of jail? You have a scanner?
Oh, no, I'm in here. The cops are here.
Yeah. Hey, Mole Cop, what's going... Is this the truth? Is this freak honest? What's happening here? I mean, they're in jail. It's hard to tell. Why are you wasting my time? I have things I need to get done.
So, you're complicating Muse, or Sean's story. That's awesome.
I'm totally not helping anyone at this point. Someone was murdered in the room next to mine, and I'm supposed to be on vacation.
So I want to say that I think you actually know Sean from your past in vacationing here. Like maybe they sold to you.
How old is
Ian?
Ian's like 25.
25? Maybe not then.
Okay, well, Sean would be a little bit older than you by like 5 years.
Yeah.
So Sean, well, I think Sean's like 28, so like 3 years older than you. Let's see. And how old were you when you came to Sioux Falls? Like what you said, kid, but like.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of this, like young teenager, I guess between 13 and 16.
You know what? I would like to jump in here that maybe when you did come to town, you hung out with Sean and Sean got you in a little bit of trouble.
Oh, that's fair. And
like,
I don't
like Sean took you around tagging the dolls, like painting faces on all the dolls with spray paint.
And that would, it would be something where I wouldn't even remember you at this point. I mean, remember that happening, but I would not know. And so I would just be no, so I have nothing for this person.
I like this tie because when you two are, inevitably thrust back together at some point, like that can come up.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
Harper, did you help or did you hinder Tina in cleaning up Bob?
She would probably hinder.
Well, this is a great group.
Kenny encouraged us to not get along.
Okay, so before you throw me under the bus,
blame the GM.
I'm not blaming. I'm just saying.
You totally are blaming.
I was so worried that everybody would come into this game from a D&D perspective of being like, we're an adventuring party who has to get along for a certain objective. And so my directive was, you can have conflicts. You don't have to disagree. In fact, that's kind of encouraged. But, if you want to be a dick to everybody, that's fine too. Whatever.
that kind of Tina's MO?
Isn't that kind of the
Yeah.
horror party we have? Is
Yeah.
a bunch of people being dicks
Bunch
to
of
each other?
Dicks. That's what we are.
Okay, so I have an idea for Harper that isn't quite dickish. Maybe you hinder and help. If you want it.
Okay. Spin it and let's see.
I think this is after your hangout with Sean. You are feeling like you need a distraction. You remember that there is this one lonely Blockbuster left in Super Shores. And so you go there to try to rent something like Love Actually. Or
Oh, wait, let's talk that.
something that is totally mindless, that the Muppets movie.
Out of stock. Sorry. Everything.
But when you get up to the door, the door closed sign is turned, and it is like 5 hours too early for that bullshit. Maybe the door's not locked though.
Lock's probably broken. Like Bob.
Probably.
Lock is probably broken.
We're just gonna
People
rob a
don't
video
fix
store.
shit here. Yeah,
If
maybe
anything,
she's
someone's gonna break in and leave money in the till because they feel bad for the last video store in town.
right.
So my idea is maybe you come in, you see kind of the partial remains of a bloody mess, and for whatever mind you have going on right now, you're like, I just need a help.
We probably went to school together.
Probably.
I'd imagine. We're both
Mhm.
locals. I don't know. I probably wouldn't associate with Harper outside of school, but I'm sure we know of each other. So I think that I'd probably have Bob in the dumpster at this point, but be scrubbing the various post-murder evidence off the floor.
Okay. I got it, because I have to take it if we place it when she's still kind of stoned, then that leads into Harper being less of an asshole. Because having not been stoned, I have to go off of other people's experience. So having never partaken. But it's so hard to be an asshole when you're high. Like, all you want is some, like, Fritos or some shit. So, like, maybe she sees whatever spill that is and thinks it's maybe, like, Code Red or something on the floor and, like, offers some advice on how to get it out of the carpet.
That is some fucking
Just
thick
so
Code
that
Red.
Tina will...
Maybe the Code syrup.
Oh yeah, maybe you have like this, like, to increase
Go nice.
sales or money, you actually have like a slushy machine in the back.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Of course we do. How did
Yeah.
you not know?
The Coke
Everywhere.
side is always broken, so all there is like weird cherry flavor.
Yeah. So,
I guess you just walk in. So
and if Tina's already in the process of cleaning it up,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
it's
know, you
just kind
gotta
of like,
use
I
baking
just wanna
soda and
rent-
vinegar for that.
Yeah, exactly. And then rents the movie and leave.
I think Tina will react like
Not even
hostilely
thinking a thing about it. Then later,
to like being disturbed while cleaning up the death side of Bob, but clue in. I think I would clue into the fact that you don't think something's amiss, and probably capitalize on that. Like, hey, Harper, yeah, Harper. We went to school to get right. Look, can you dump this mop bucket out in the sink over there for me? That kind of like direction thing. So
oh god,
you're an accessory now.
I'm accessory now.
I just wanted to make sure that if I went down, you'd go down too.
All right. That is really good.
Would Harper do that? I mean, they survived to the sequel.
If she were sober,
Oh,
no.
Fair.
If she was stoned and
Maybe.
thought she was cleaning up red syrup,
You spilled all this cherry syrup all over the desk and the floor in the Detective Pikachu doll. Some of it's on the
Well,
ceiling.
like I said, if you're in the midst of cleaning it up, I figure half that shit's already cleaned up.
Yeah.
All right.
Ah.
Or frozen stuff.
It's okay.
I heard Cam will kick back in just
will.
a second.
It'll be
There
fine.
we go.
We are rapidly running out of time, so I want to make sure we can get to a couple of final things before. Jess, choose 2 people to be a part of their backstories.
I think I want Ian and Sean.
Oh,
the
I
ones
knew
who
it!
are not local. Or the ones who are like coming back from.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice. Okay, so let's start with Ian. How were you a part of his backstory?
I think for backstory at one time,
Or not
at one-
backstory, I'm sorry, his adventure.
Well, I was thinking for both. Like at one point, when Ian was visiting as a kid, Willow saw him, and like either like ran into him and tried to like talk to him and be his friend or something like that when she was still very young, or something so that she recognizes him. And
Mhm.
so more recently, she saw him come to town and then went to try to find him, and then that was how she ended up murdering his neighbor.
Okay.
You mean she was tracking me down to kill me?
That's going to go
Just
horribly
like that for
wrong.
normal
She was
tracking
just like,
reasons.
Why
I'm just
would
trying to
one
check
friend track
in.
down any other friend?
Sometimes she just likes to like check in on people and see what's up, and sometimes people get murdered.
Okay, I'm just dialing into what's going on. That's okay.
All right.
wants to be loved.
How were you a part of Sean's backstory?
Let's see. For Sean, I think so. So Sean's backstory was that he was just arrested because he just got back to town, and the cops already know him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she's part of Sean's backstory by the recent murders that she's been committing, like with a little higher frequency, have the cops on high alert, so they've been more on the lookout, and that's how they noticed Sean when he first came back to town.
Okay.
Is that too far removed, or does that
No,
work?
no, it can be an aside, like the killer was doing something else. But
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. No, you could be the reason why Sean was arrested.
Hold on. What? Could the killer have been in the Blockbuster and seen Sean get arrested? Because that would be hilarious to me.
And that's why they left after killing.
So
My convoluted
Sean
plot
has
to get
this-
stranger arrested.
Sean has this van that is just brightly painted with this crazy like spray paint mural, which I think would probably attract Willow.
Definitely.
Is it a lady surrounded by ice crystals?
It might very well be, and a great big silver dragon.
Stars. Lots of stars.
Lots of stars. But just actually, it would just be just all kinds of different stuff. Just whatever has come to Sean's mind. Some of it's been painted over, some of it's been repainted, but it's just bright and colorful and really noticeable. And Sean's been locked up for about for a couple of days, so maybe Willow got into Sean's van, grabbed a few things that were Sean's, and has a couple of Sean's items.
Okay.
I like it.
I
Maybe
just thought that would
Brown.
really complicate things for Sean if the killer has a few of Sean's,
What
a
if
few items that can be tracked back to Sean.
what if she
Oh,
took your bog?
She took Sean's ID.
Well, I think that Sean
Sean-
also has like a cache of little toys and like figures in the van, like just maybe McDonald's toys from Happy Meals and
Yeah, that's what Willow would have
Weird
taken as
kitchen
the stuff like
stuff.
that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so Willow just like took a bunch of toys out of Sean's van. That
And
doesn't
she
make
probably-
Sean sound creepy at all. I have a van full of toys.
She probably also would have taken a bong because she didn't really know what it was, and she decided to like
It's just
take
pretty.
one and just
It's a
yeah,
nice face.
right, exactly. She probably would have taken it just to like, oh, I'm like this seems like an interesting thing that
You can put all your like dead and wilting flowers in it.
maybe. Okay, wait. Maybe it was a bong made out of a porcelain doll head.
Yes.
Oh, I hate it.
Because Sean is totally the type that would have gone around on like doll holiday, snatched one of the doll heads, and then drilled out the holes
Pour
to
it
make it
out.
core it out, and just be like, I got a doll head.
You pack
Like,
the
we have
bowl
this
in like
cute
one
doll
eye socket, then you use the other one as the carb, and then you smoke out
There
the top
you
of the
go.
head.
Not that we know
better,
anything
it's
about
an eyeless
bongs.
doll head.
An eyeless doll head that's been turned into a pipe.
Oh yeah, what would have taken that?
And it's got all like the black resin around the holes in the eyes, so it's just like
God.
spreading out. So yeah, it's looking creepier and creepier, and that's like Sean's pride and joy.
Because of course it is.
So he was really mad. Sean was so mad when he got back and it was gone, and like he totally thought the cops took it.
The cops definitely took it, yeah.
Oh yeah, the cops definitely stole my piece.
Because it was the first one he made.
It was my very first one. Yeah.
Masterpiece.
Yeah, everyone remembers their first one. All right. So I need we're not going to cross one more time because I think that we actually have a really good tight core together. I do want volunteers to contribute to the legend. What
I thought I already had.
Let's see.
Oh, you did tangentially,
Actually a legend.
but
I created a damn parade.
you, Calric, created a damn parade. But what did Ian see about Willow? What does Ian hear about Willow?
Well, I think Tina running the horror movie club would probably. I would be willing to bet there's a shitty bootleg copy of like a high school documentary about the
Ripper?
Sean's senior project.
Doll caller, the doll killer or something like about like those parents who died in Willows. And I think so we're just kind of contributing to like the various like town legend about it.
Yep.
So I think it's less like a specific killer and more that sometimes, like you were saying earlier, like sometimes items, you know, maybe it started out like things falling over on people or that, but then it became more like somebody saw like a toy get picked up off the ground and like hover and just smack somebody in the face a few times and to run out. Oh, she probably went exploring at that old house with her group. And
Okay.
I would imagine that Tina would have done that and maybe seen or thought she saw some of the dolls move.
Nice.
Or the toys move. And so for myself, with like, I think with Tina, I think everything would have kind of contributed, maybe embellished on that legend a bit about like the toys moving around in like a vortex with like strange lights and stuff. I don't think I would have just said that like I saw some toys falling over or like thrown at people. I definitely would have like there's wailing and it was really cold and probably inaccurate, like inaccurate legend telling.
Okay. Nice. So
Island of the Dolls, but creepy.
Yeah, and I think I probably would like definitely borrowed from some like horror movies. So like, you know, maybe that like I dreamed about dolls later and they were in the dream, and then when I woke up, all the stuff in my room was like blown off the shelves. And, well, like didn't happen, but like makes the story cooler.
So does Tina believe in the doll killer, like that Willow exists?
No, I don't. I believe that there's some weird shit that goes on at that house, but I think it's. I mean, there's no serial. I mean, sure, there's serial killers, but there's no like paranormal. I mean, that's just fantasy. That's why we like the horror movie, club. So, no, definitely not.
Right. Who else wants to contribute to the legend? Right, Miu?
I do. So legend has it, at least from Sean, who's done some research into this, that Willow was actually a government experiment. And her parents took her from the lab, took her out there to raise her. But then her powers went off. It was from some like government mind control experiment.
Is this what Sean believes?
Oh, yeah, this is 100%. This is 100% what Sean believes about Willow.
Okay.
If asked about the doll murders, like
Okay.
end the stories. Sean goes on to tell the story about how the killer doesn't just animate them, but possesses these inanimate objects, and it's all part of some like, she was given a bunch of injections and all this, and now she has all these creepy mind powers. In fact, I kind of wanted Sean to have an aspect called I Want to Believe, where Sean wants to believe the weird, crazy stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's totally an aspect for Sean.
Where it's like, yeah, where it the good part is Sean, yeah, I can invoke it where Sean doesn't have a hard time believing weird, crazy stuff, but has a hard time saying no, that's not real. Like, so Sean be like, I want to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, Sean totally believes all this crazy stuff if asked about the Ripper, about Willow, about anything going on in town. But yeah, the legend is that she's an MK Ultra experiment
Okay.
gone wrong.
Harper,
Is there any other kind?
did Harper see the Ripper?
Oh, of course she did.
Okay.
I want to present this to the group because this is what I'm debating on, is whether or not she contributed to the death of the Ripper or the death in heavy air quotes of the Ripper. Or if, as just maybe hinted at, that maybe it was a red herring at the time, but the actual Ripper was
I kind of
Willow.
like the idea that maybe the Ripper is just a run-of-the-mill serial killer, and the death of, and then maybe Willow killed the killer for real. Like,
Oh, that's
Mm.
lovely.
Oh,
I think that like some of the deaths were definitely the Ripper. I think another
yeah.
portion of the deaths were absolutely Willow, including that of the Ripper.
What if, unbeknownst to Harper, Willow helped her kill him? Because she can
Oh.
animate objects. What if she witnessed this going on, and
that's the reason the bookshelf fell on the killer.
or some like decorative,
candlesticks.
I was
in the parlor.
You
gonna go
truly
with like
believe
a decorative scythe.
Yeah.
Or a
Came
spear
flying off the wall.
Yeah. Or maybe it helped her get it off the wall.
You believe you
So-
chucked
so
that
with
long
the-
dart so hard.
Yeah. Harper totally believes she did it, but she had some help there.
Like impaled into the ceiling with it somehow.
Mhm.
It's like not even possible without.
Yeah, totally not even possible on her own, but if anybody asks her later, it was just pure adrenaline. Like,
Adrenaline
she
strength.
doesn't know where it came from. It just happened.
Nice. I love that. Love that. Okay. So I think that we are all thoroughly crossed. We discussed a little bit about aspects, so I'm not going to go too much further into that unless anyone has an aspect that they specifically want to touch on for their character. 3, 2.
The idea of
Okay.
like always prepared,
Always prepared. Okay.
almost like, sort of the Boy Scout motto, but a little more violent because it's coming through the Pink Panther training.
So I don't want to get into skill territory, so how
Okay.
would you word that? Because you use it to buff skills.
Okay.
Or that can go into being a stunt.
Okay. Let me think about that some more then.
Sure, absolutely.
I have one.
Okay.
I think an aspect that I would like for Tina is like just like in the movies, which could be invoked to like help if like, oh, I saw a scene like this in the movie, and could be compelled to like literally compel me to react as if it were a scene in a movie for a negative way.
That is perfect. That is perfect. I think that would work very well for Tina. Okay, that's awesome. Anyone else? All right. Speaking about skills, so the fate system rolls off of 6-sided dice. 2 of them are pluses, 2 of them are blanks, and 2 of them are minuses. You roll on a skill, and given a skill, you get a plus a certain amount, and the number of pluses that you roll minus the number of minuses gives you whatever your total is. And like a lot of other role-playing games, you have to meet a certain skill level to beat the objective or whatever you were trying to do. The survivors get 1 good skill, which is +3. The killer gets 1 great skill, which is +4, and 2 good skills, which is +3 each. A little bit weighted against the survivors, but there are more of you, right?
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Let's make the numbers.
We'll find a way to work together. If it means survival,
Just as long as everybody listens to Tina, it'll be fine.
I'm totally hooking up with Harper for this one because Harper knows the DL.
So, has anyone looked over the skills and decided what their good skill is going to be?
I did. I forgot what it was called though, but I know what it does. It's the one where you badger the shit out of people in order to provoke. Yes, that's Tina's good skill.
Nice. Okay.
For sure.
Sean's is stealth. Sean is used to like ducking around and trying to find a safe place to smoke where the cops won't catch you.
Nice. Very nice.
I'm not sure if there's a specific skill that I can't remember off the top of my head, but investigating.
Yes, investigate is a skill.
I think that would be a good one for Harper, given her history. Like, she's become more investigative and not in an effort to making sure that what happened to her doesn't happen again. And especially as people around her continue to die, she's looking into things.
Nice. And Cal, what are you thinking?
No.
Nope. Okay. So there are specific actions versus a skill that you can do. You can do something to overcome. So overcoming something would be like, finding the clues that you need. So the investigate to overcome an obstacle. Creating an advantage. So you can use investigate to find that key. You can't really use investigate to attack or defend, which are the other 2 actions that you can use for a skill. But that's okay. So every skill has this sort of relationship or tree with these different actions. So either overcoming, creating an advantage, attacking, or defending. All right. So
I wish to petition the director to allow me to attack with stealth.
No.
Investigation can totally work for attack, because if you can tie it into something that she already knows.
You can create an advantage for yourself.
Lawyer, you
can create an advantage for yourself. That's what that skill is for.
Exactly.
Ability. All right. So I guess the last things I wanted to talk about. Let me pull up my list. Boop, boop, boop. All right. Stunts and perks. So stunts are an additional use of a skill, a specific specialized use of a skill. So for example, let's go with investigate. A stunt might be attention to detail. You can use investigate instead of empathy to defend against deceive attempts. What others discover through gut reactions and intuition, you learn through careful observation of microexpressions. So they're very narrowly focused abilities that give you an additional bonus to using that ability. So if anyone's thought about any stunts for their skills, that's cool. If not, we can move on.
I'm totally taking that.
No worries.
I think because I think lore would be fair.
Okay.
If not the good skill, the fair skill, one of the fair skills for Sean. And I was thinking maybe something like theorize.
Okay.
Where as long as he's coming up with theories about what might be going on, maybe he gets a little bonus to put pieces together.
Yeah, I definitely think that like you lean in on your paranoid fantasies a bit, and you in trying to come up on it, you touch on a bit of truth, or you find a kernel or nugget of truth in whatever you're coming up with, and so that might give you a bonus.
Accidentally right.
Yeah, exactly. Accidentally right. Anyone else?
I want to take the okay, fine one from the provoke category.
Provoke?
Which
Okay.
is using provoke in place of empathy to learn a target's aspects by bullying them until they cave and reveal one to me. Don't think I can bully the killer, but I can bully everybody else in the process.
I think you might be surprised. You never know.
I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna get killed, and it's gonna be horrible. Oh my God.
I'm actually going to ask about kind of switching that up to the one that they have in here, which is I've read about that.
Yeah.
Which means I can spend a fate point to use lore in place of any other skill for one roller exchange, provided I can justify having read about the action I'm attempting.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, Sean does a lot of reading, like how to fight and how to do these things, but not a lot of practical experience.
That's fair. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think that works pretty well for Sean's character too.
Yeah.
Does Ian have anything going on, or?
Well, I'm kind of looking at who Ian is, and there are 3 things that are jumping out at me. So there's crafts, which, I mean, any good queer should be good at crafts, I think. It's my experience, at least.
So describe what crafts means in the context of the game.
Crafts, so in here, it's craft is the skill for working with machinery and creativity for good or ill.
Mhm.
So overcome, craft, like to break, fix, or whatever machinery, or create works of art.
Mhm.
You can use crafts to create aspects representing features of a piece of machinery, whatever. And you don't have to spend a fate point to declare that you have the proper tools for a particular job using crafts.
Okay.
And whenever you succeed with style on an overcome action, you repair a piece of machinery or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff. Ooh, surgical strikes. When using crafts in a conflict involving machinery, you can filter out unwanted targets from whole zone attacks without having to divide up your shifts. Wow. I think I have a plan.
There you go. That sounds like a great stunt.
So that one, and then fighting and physique, all of those feel like they fit the Broadway dancer, Pink Panther.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
can you only one? How does that work?
No, so you have your 1 good skill, you have your 2 fair skills, and then 3, what is it, normal, regular?
Average.
Average skills. So and it gives you 3, +3, +2, and +1, respectively.
Okay.
You don't have to come up with all of them tonight. It's just kind of getting a taste for what those are. Perks, you get 3 stunts for your character. You get 3 perks for your character. Let me look in the book real quick. The book has a ton of perks for both the killer and for the
Play
survivors.
with your food, really?
It's so gross.
So survivor perks start on page 120. So if you all want to look through those in a little bit. While you all are catching up on that, I want to talk about what the show format is going to be. We are going to be start streaming on the second Monday of every month. And the show is going to be monthly. And we're going to go for 6 full episodes, not including this one, for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, kind of the length of what we're doing now. The show itself will be of self-described scenes. So if Mew wants Sean to have a scene with Tina where they're on the beach, having sandwiches, then they can make that work. And at a certain point, Jess will say, "This is where Willow comes in." So there'll be the great thing about Fate is it's very narratively driven. Anytime there's not a lot of rolling until the characters want to do something that is a little bit above normal being able to do. characters can go into conflict against each other. Characters can go into conflict against myself playing NPCs, and characters can come into conflict with the environment. They can find bonuses everywhere. The beach might be damp and it might be dark, and there may be ways that the characters can use that to their advantage, but there's absolutely ways that the killer can use that to their advantage. So I'm very, very excited to start this game and really hear the fun, gory stories that are going to come out of this. I feel like we've really set up these characters to be kind of amazing. So in saying that, does anyone have a perk they want to discuss before we wrap up?
I saw one I definitely want.
Is it the first one?
Deja vu.
Oh, nice.
Paranoia and fear has unlocked your mind and left the door ajar. You gain a tip of the iceberg aura sense that allows you to experience moments before they actually occur. Basically, as long as I get a chance to do over my last action, so long as it has happened within the last minute of game time, and it can only take the length of one action. The second action must be taken for better or worse. So I get a chance to go back and redo an action.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yep. Once per session. Once per session, I get to be like, nope, you know what? I want to do that differently.
Uh,
I have a question about some of them, because some of them say if you were the killer's obsession. How do we figure that out?
So
There's a perk called Objective Obsession.
there is that perk, but also it could happen during play. So if there's a story element where Jess is interacting with the characters, it might be an appropriate time for the director to roll fate dice for each of the characters, and whomever gets the most becomes the object of the killer's obsession.
Okay, and does that change throughout, or once that's done, is it done?
Since we are going for 6 sessions, I imagine that the killer's obsession might change from session to session. In fact, actually, that might be a great thing for the format is, maybe one session, Ian is the obsession.
That's what I feel like already, since they tracked me down and killed my neighbor.
Willow just wants to be friends.
just want to be friends.
I'm actually looking at the perk Unbreakable.
Okay.
You are not so easily defeated. This perk allows you to return from being taken out once per story.
Ooh.
You retain all of your consequence slots after recovering. Your allies and the killer might think you have died, and you do not return until at least one additional scene has passed.
Okay. Nice.
I'm definitely going to go for sabotage. You find it easy to make life hard for others. When you're actively resisting another character's overcome or create advantage roll, you gain +1 bonus. I would only use that against the killer, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I will be disappointed if you only use that against the killer.
I'm gonna message you separately about all of mine, Kenny, because all of mine I want to modify slightly so that it makes sense for the way that Willow kills.
Absolutely, and I think that there should be some fun and surprises here and there.
I think so too.
Oh no.
I don't think that everybody
I don't
has to
think so.
see everybody else's character sheets. That's fine. All right. So I think that is going to do it for tonight. Before we sign off, we have a special first-time viewer raffle for the actual book for the game, the Slasher Core Rulebook. The publishers were very kind enough to send us a couple of copies, and so we will give one away tonight, and then we'll give one away when the podcast launches in April. So so I didn't mention this earlier. We're going to be taking the audio and the video from these streams, and we're going to cut them down, and they'll be released also monthly at the last day of the month of every month. I picked the most interesting days for these things, but we're going to be releasing Puntimes starting in April, so that the last episode can be on Halloween.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty appropriate.
Oh, so good.
So, let me jump over to Nightbot, and if you are in chat right now, you will be entered to win. So let's see here.
So Kenny, how long are we doing the contest for? Is it just for tonight only?
We're gonna do this one as a one night only thing. I have one more book to give away, and we'll do a separate type giveaway through the podcast. So it's likely going to be announced through the ExQueeriencePoints Twitter channel at EQPoints. All right, so let me do a roll.
Pardon me.
All right.
Woo!
Does anyone know the King of Kings?
That's Parker.
Parker?
From,
Yay, Parker!
Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations, Parker.
Brilliant. Enjoy. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, if you could direct message us on Twitter at
Roll to
EQPoints,
fail.
that would be awesome. All right. So we're going to sign off, and we'll do it in the same order that we did sign-ons. And so this is the time to pimp your channel, pimp anything that you're doing, and let everyone know in this wonderful world who you are. So Miyu.
Well then, I guess that starts here. I'm Miyu. You can find me here on Twitch or on Twitter at Miyu Plays Games. You'll want to stay or kind of watch because I'm going to have Kelrick joining us beginning other Mondays when you're not watching Puntimes. You can come to my channel and watch him play a vampire as we dig into World of Darkness's Vampire the Requiem, one of my favorite systems. So that's going to be a lot of fun, as well as got some other roleplay stuff on there, including a solo run of the Rise of the Rune Lords Adventure Path. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But yep, that's me.
Nice. And people can find you at
Miyu Plays Games on Twitch and Twitter at Miyu Plays Games.
Woo. Jess?
I'm Jess. You can find me on Twitter at WriteJessR. And some of the other things I do a bunch of podcasts on the network Bitch2 Alpha, which you can find bitch2alpha.com. And I also play on the D&D actual play all women podcast D20 Dames, which you can find d20dames.com or at d20dames on Twitter.
And didn't you just release a podcast on Friday called Cumanera?
Yes, and Cumanera has been released.
So good.
And the other thing I do on this channel, ExQueeriencePoints, with this network is Cumanera, the new Manera show.
Yay. Callie.
Hey, I GM for Roll to Fail Pod, the unofficial official sister cast to EQ Points. We're
Official sister cast.
Official sister cast. We just put out a one shot of of Enter the World, the Fantasy Flight game, Wrath of the Gods. It's a thing where we all play ourselves and we're running from Cthulhu. It's pretty fun to listen to. But we put out episodes every 2 weeks, sometimes every week if we have a bonus episode. You can find us at Roll to Fail Pod on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And you can find me specifically at the Grief Mop on Twitter, although I don't post a lot and I'm generally not a fun person to follow.
Ringing endorsement.
Right?
Thank you. Steph?
Hi, I'm Steph. You can find me on Twitter at Luna Starwind or on Instagram at Steph the Bard. You can catch me every Wednesday rolling dice with about over half of this group on ExQueeriencePoints. And generally on Twitter, I apologize in advance for me screaming my feels about everything. Because that's become my life now.
But
You're the
also
best
do
live
best
tweeter
live
ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to say the best live tweeter of any podcast ever.
Good. Oh,
Nailed reaction GIFs.
That's quite the claim to fame.
I mean, that's what got me here, isn't it?
Yes. You're amazing.
Indeed. And Kelrick?
So I'm Kelrick. You can find me on Twitter at Cormelon, or in conjunction with other people on the cast, EQ Points. We all check it and make sure that anything that's sent in is responded to quickly. We have a fascination for Twitter artists, so we are constantly hyping them because they're amazing. Things that I'm working on has jumped exponentially in the past 2 weeks. So started this Twitch stream today, and that'll be monthly. I'm doing the World of Darkness stuff with Miyu. Are we doing it every other week or every week?
No, we're doing weekly except for the weeks that we have Puntimes.
Okay, so that'll be all the time.
For a couple of months, for a few sessions at least, till we get through the intro.
Super excited about being a pale vampire. And I'm also on a Blue Rose Twitch stream starting Thursday the 24th on Pro Restarter's Twitch channel, which is very cool. And that's going to go for, I think, 10 sessions every week, I think it's every Thursday. I'm having to check my calendar for this. Then on ExQueeriencePoints Starfinder. And now I'm putting my feet into the DM field with Humanera, where I get to torture Jess and Kenny. So yeah, it's suddenly a lot. It's crazy.
When you say it out loud, all lined up like that, it sounds like you're busy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sounds like you're a busy guy.
It's nuts.
And where can people find you on Twitter?
So I said they can find me at Cormelon or on the at EQ Points, where I check that with several other people.
Perfect. And for everyone who's still in chat, I know that a lot of viewers are probably also producers of content. Feel free to drop your Twitter stream or your Twitter accounts, or where they can find you on Twitch or anything like that. I have links open. My name is Kenny, and you can find me on Twitter at PunderDrone. I am streaming right now on ExQueeriencePoints Twitch. Every second Monday of the month will be Puntimes. We're going to be doing the slasher game for 6 more episodes, and then we will choose some other game to play. I am also a crew member of ExQueeriencePoints, where we do Starfinder, and we publish that every Wednesday. I'm a part of Humanera that does every other Friday. We launch
every other Friday.
Every other Friday. That launched this Friday, so come listen to episode 1. You can
this past Friday.
Yeah, this past Friday. And what else? Oh, I'm going to be also on Pro Restarter's channel on every other Monday starting... Was it Mondays? It couldn't have been Mondays. Maybe it's Mondays. I'll find out. No, it's every other Wednesday. That's what it is. Starting on January 30th, so next Wednesday. I'm going to be playing in the Witcher series, who is DM'd by the Wandering GM. And that is what I have going on. I also might moonlight on Nomedic's Encounter Roleplay show for Little Busters, reprising my character GM. But we'll see. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for streaming with me today. And you all are wonderful, and this is going to be creepy as fuck. I cannot wait to have our doll parade.
It's doll season. It's always doll season.
It's always doll season in Super Shores.
Doll season in Super Shores. Oh my god.
For sure.
Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have I hope you have nightmares, frankly. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.